Hello, everyone. This is Kristen with the LTRC. Thank you for joining us for one-on-one trainings on Google My Business, trainings for law firms, with our sponsor Kenect as part of the LTRC Industry Insight series held every Wednesday. Our speaker today is McKay Allen. McKay Allen is the VP of Marketing at Kenect. Kenect is the text messaging platform for more than 3,000 law firms throughout the US and Canada. It allows law firms to send and receive text messages from their business phone number, request Google reviews via text, conduct video chats, text with clients, streamline intake, and even generate more leads on their website. Thank you all for joining us. We will now begin the webinar.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Appreciate the introduction. My name is McKay Allen, as you said. I'm on the marketing team at Kenect. We're really excited to be here. We've got a really large crowd today. And we're excited to share this information with you about Google My Business pages. It's interesting, we've done a lot of webinars about reviews, and as we've kind of dove into Google My Business pages more, this seems almost to be more mysterious and frustrating for law firms than reviews itself. So we'll spend some time today talking about Google My Business pages. We'll also talk about reviews, and then we'll answer your questions. My goal is to do the presentation in 20 to 25 minutes. And then answer your questions for as long as we need to. So if you're interested in asking a question, go to that Q&A area on your Zoom screen there, type questions in there and we'll address those. To start out with, why don't you go to that Q&A area and just maybe type in where you're dialing in from today. Give us like city and state, where you're dialing in from. That'll help us get to know who's on the call. It'll also help you get to know how to use that Q&A area, which is where you'll ask questions. All right, we've got Alan in LA, we've got Brian in San Diego, Des in Brookville, Pennsylvania, Joel in Illinois, we've got Ashley in Portland, beautiful Portland, Oregon, Lindsay in Sacramento, the list just keeps going, Santa Fe, New York City, Chicago, Montclair, New Jersey, Burlington, Vermont. Candace, I lived in Burlington. It's one of my top three favorite places in the US. I love Burlington. Milwaukee, Ottawa, Rockford, Illinois, let's see, Cleveland, Vegas, New York, St. Louis, Toledo, Austin, Denver, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, Sedona. Sedona is where we should be today when it's cold everywhere else. Sedona sounds great. Vegas, nice and warm in Vegas too today. All right, awesome. Thanks for doing that. That's how you'll ask questions during the webinar. So please go there if you want to ask questions as well. So thanks again. All right, first what we'll do is take about 3 minutes, tell you briefly who Kenect is, then we'll dive into the presentation itself. First of all, who are we? We're based outside of Salt Lake City. We're a text messaging platform built for law firms throughout North America. We have about 3,000 law firms that use Kenect every single day to text. Basically, we give you the benefits of texting without having to give out your personal cell number. This allows you to communicate more efficiently, generate new leads, conduct video consultations, and drive online reviews with text. Essentially, you can do all these things in text with your main business phone number. And that's a huge deal. Basically, you log into Kenect and you can send and receive text messages. We were recently listed on the Inc. 5000 list as one of the 5,000 fastest growing companies in North America, but not just on the list, but in the top 5% of the list, which is pretty powerful. We're also integrated with the leading case management systems in the legal industry, which is important. Now, no, you can use Kenect without these integrations, but it's also great to have these integrations. So whether or not you use these tools, you can use Kenect, but these integrations do make it really, really powerful as well. We're adding Smart Advocate, MyCase, CasePeer, Lawmatics, and Action Step to this list in the next 2 months as well. How do we do it? So two-way text messaging for your law firm so you can stop giving out your personal cell number. Web leads straight from your website. We add a text us button to your website. We can also do video chat for virtual consultations via text and then online review generation via text as well. Why text messaging? Well, your clients prefer it. 89% of legal clients say they would prefer to interact with a business via text rather than a phone call. 98% of all text messages are open, 95% are read within 3 minutes, and 96% of clients find phone calls to be disruptive. Look, bottom line here is texting is the way that people would prefer to communicate with your firm. They don't want a phone call. They don't want you to call them when they're at work, they're at school, they are at lunch, they're at dinner, they're at a kid's soccer game. They don't want to get in a phone tag mess. And they don't want to call you and have to go through a phone tree and talk to 3 different people and explain your problem 3 different times until you reach the right person. They don't want to have to deal with that. They want to text you. So texting is the biggest change in communication strategy for businesses since probably the invention of the telephone 110 years ago or so. So it's that big of a deal. So if you're not texting your clients, you're missing out because your competitive firms in your market are texting your clients and their clients. Top 8 ways law firms use Kenect: schedule consultations, send appointment reminders, streaming intake process and validating cases more efficiently, sending case updates and communicating faster, collecting fees. This would be maybe an interesting place to throw a poll up if we could. We just completed an integration with LawPay. How many of you use LawPay? So why don't we throw that poll up if we could, Kristen and Sasha, and let's see how many people use LawPay on the call to collect payments. So just click yes or no. We'll leave that open for 20 seconds or so. And we were really excited about this integration because basically this allows us, it allows you as firms rather to collect payments via texting while using LawPay. And it's already decreased late payments by about 85% and increased the speed of payment collection by about 80%. Why don't we close that poll and show the results? Okay, about 33% of you use LawPay. Great. So we've got a great integration there, which I think is helpful. A couple more slides, and then we'll dive in. This is how you send and receive text messages. Your clients does not need to do that. Do not need to log into anything. They just receive a text message like normal. You, though, manage text messages like you would manage emails. This looks and functions like an email inbox, but it's for texting. You also have a Kenect mobile app that you can download on your smartphone. You can assign leads to different teams at your firm, to a different individual. You can request for review. You can send photos, videos, PDFs, attachments. You can request payments, schedule messages as well. All right, let's talk about GMB. And Brianne and Jim, I see you've got a couple questions here. Why don't we answer those because they're about texting before we jump into GMB. So Brianne says, I work in probate law, working with elderly clients. Do you have the same percentage with elders as you do with younger clients that prefer to text? Great question. So generally what we see is the breakage is at about age 70 to 75. If they are under age 70 to 75, they will text as much or more than people that are younger than them. So I'll give you an example. My parents are 65 years old. And we have a family text thread with my siblings, each of our spouses, and my parents, right? So there's 4 siblings, 4 spouses, 2 parents, which is 10 people. And guess who texts the most on that thread? My mom and my dad, and it's not close. So age really isn't a factor until you get about 75, then you do see some breakage, but it still is something that people do because they want to text their family and their friends. So you might see people who are a little less comfortable, but they still do it. Jim says, what does the research show about texting versus email, text versus phone call, text wins? That message is clear. How about text versus email? So yeah, text versus phone call, text wins, no question. Text versus email, texting wins as well. And I'll give you 2 stats. The average email is opened between 10 and 20% of the time. The average text is opened 98% of the time. It's that simple. People always read their text messages. All right, let's talk about Google My Business. So what is Google My Business? Google My Business allows you to put basic and verified information about your business on the internet. It's used by Google as the central location for verified information about your firm and can be used for engaging with clients and attracting new clients. On the right here, you see an actual Google My Business page from a law firm in Missouri. You can see they have their website. They have a place to click on directions. They have their reviews listed there, their address, their hours, their phone number, popular times, as well as a place to put photos. This is the place that Google looks at on the web, on the internet, about your business. Now, most law firms spend hundreds of dollars a year on their website and then thousands of dollars when they redo their website. The thing that's interesting about that is your Google My Business page generally receives 5 times more views than your actual website. So you've got law firms who are engaging with their website constantly, but are never going to log into their Google My Business page. You're doing it infrequently. And yet their Google My Business page generally gets 5 times more views than their actual website. So why don't we put up that other poll that just asks people how often they log into their Google My Business page. How often do you log into your Google My Business page? Once a week or more, twice a month, monthly, quarterly, once a year, or what's a Google My Business page? So go to that, fill that out. We'll leave it open for about 20 seconds here. And again, the point we're trying to make, and I'm really interested to see the results of this, is people generally log into their website and pay more attention to the data associated with their website than they do their Google My Business page, when in reality, far more people see your Google My Business page. So let's look at the poll results. Great. Okay, this is kind of what we expected. So only about 13% of you are logging in twice a month or more. Quarterly is about 22%. Once a year is 12%. And then what's a Google My Business page is 41%. Good. I'm glad you're on this webinar. So this is a Google My Business page to the right. It's the location where reviews are left in-house. This allows your business to show up in Google results and on Google Maps. The reason that businesses have those red dots on Google Maps is because they have a Google My Business page. If you have a Google My Business page, you are 2 times more likely to be seen as reputable. This is what the bottom of that page looks like. So top of the page, bottom of the page. The reviews are housed here, the review average, the review summary as well. Now, how do you claim your Google My Business page? This is really important, so pay attention to this. If you're like, man, I don't even know if I have one. How do I log in? Simply search your business on Google. Google will then display what it knows about your business. You see the area that we have highlighted, the own this business question mark. If you are associated or own that business, click on that. You will then be prompted to log into your Gmail account. You should click Manage Now, and then Google will ask for confirmation. So they want to make sure you're in fact the owner, so you can set up your Google My Business page. That will be done, that verification from Google will be done by phone, email, or even a postcard. So a couple questions here I want to take, if that's okay. So Benosi asks, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, do you have to list your address in GMB if you work from home? You have to list your address in GMB no matter what, yes. So Google does not allow you to set up a GMB profile without an address, a physical address. Let's see here, more questions, and then we'll keep going. John asked, what about client confidentiality associated with texting? It's the same as client confidentiality related to phone calls or emails. You just allow certain people at your firm to access those things and not. Dina asked, who creates the Google My Business page, the business owner or Google? The business owner. So again, this is the process to create it. And Dan, I see your question. I'll make sure to answer it. Dan Hayward, make sure that you know I'm answering that. I'm going to keep going for now, but I will answer that question. Okay, this is the primary method for clients to share feedback about businesses. Anyone using Google can review your business and leave a star rating. These reviews can be just star ratings. They can be long or short. And Google does not verify to ensure that they're your actual client. Again, we've talked about Google My Business pages, what's on them and why they're important. We've talked about how you can claim yours. And we've talked about the reviews now that are housed on them. And it's really important to note, Google does not verify to ensure that this person is your actual client. So to be clear, I have a Gmail account. Therefore, I could go to any of your Google My Business pages and leave you a review. And that's scary to firms, right? That's a scary thing. So with that being said, why should you actually try to get reviews? There's a few reasons. First, because they matter to your clients. 93% of clients use reviews as the first step in choosing a firm. 91% use reviews as much as personal recommendations. Now, if we would have done this webinar 5 years ago, these numbers would have been like 58 and 61%. That's how much this has changed. It's a massive change in terms of how Google views these and in terms of how your clients view these. A huge change. Clients really do care. Most people will not take action until they've read these reviews. They need validation for their decision. If you do not have reviews, you are not seen as reliable. The second reason they matter, first was they matter to clients. The second is because they matter to Google. 97% of people go to Google when they want to find a law firm. And I want to be really clear about this. There's all these other sites out there, right? Avo's great, Facebook is great, Yelp is great. They don't matter in terms of clients going to figure out where they want to, which law firm they want to do business with. People go to Google. They go to Google when they want to find a law firm. Google then determines the order in which firms are listed based on their ratings and reviews. And if you are not in the top 3, you will not get clicked. 98% of the clicks are in the top 3 listings. Now, sometimes people get frustrated with Google because they say, gosh, they actually do things in different orders all the time. So sometimes you'll see this and you'll see maps, the map first, then you'll see the Google My Business listings. That's true, you will. Then you will see paid listings first, then the map. Then you will see the Google My Business listings after. So it depends on the search results and the moment it's searched. But these people at the top here, that's a really bad arrow I just drew, paid to be there. Then the map, then the Google My Business listings. Now you might be frustrated by that and say, gosh, these people at the top paid to be there. That's not fair. Well, it costs them a lot of money, A. And B, guess what? Burger Law down below is going to get clicked more than the ones who paid at the top, because the ones that paid at the top are paid and people know that they were paid. That's important to note, I think. All right. How do I undo this and not draw anymore? Huh. Kristen, do you know how I just advance slides once I've drawn here? Sorry about that, everybody.
It looks like the drawing went away and you have an arrow
There we go.
now.
Perfect. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. In this version, you have paid listings first, then you have paid ads, then you have the map, then you have Google My Business listings after. Point is, in showing you this, these will appear differently. And I think sometimes firms get frustrated because they say, gosh, my listings sometimes appear near the top, sometimes they don't. Again, this is going to depend when you search, who's buying ads in your market. But regardless of all these firms, the Combs Law Firm here is going to get the most clicks because they have the highest organic listing. Now, why does Google care so much about reviews? Think about it this way. They have one job, and that job is to produce the result the searcher wants to see. And the best way Google believes they can do that is to show them firms that have high Google review listings. All right, how to get more positive reviews. I see all the questions. I see Dan, Alan, Daniel, John, Victoria, John again, Allison. So I see a ton of questions. We'll hit them all, I promise. All right, a couple things to remember with getting positive reviews. First is quantity. You've got to have a minimum of 50 reviews. 150 is ideal. Some of you might be saying, gosh, we're a small firm in a small town. How's that even possible? I hear you. I feel it. But you've got to have at least 50. If you don't have the ability to get 50 reviews because you don't have that many clients in a year, let's say, do two things. Develop a process to get more, but then also reach back to clients 3 or 4 years ago who you worked with and see if they'll leave you reviews. That's really important to note. Now, I've had to use services of an attorney one time in my life. It was like 10 years ago. And if that attorney messaged me right now and said, would you leave us a review? I would say absolutely. And I think your clients will be the same. 73% of clients disregard old reviews. You can't just do a blitz of reviews for 1 month and then forget about it. You've got to have a process, because if you just go get 100 reviews in February, by the end of March or whatever, they're going to be old. All right, how to get more positive reviews, build a process. There's 4 steps to that process. First thing you've got to figure out is, who do you ask? Do you ask everybody or just those people that like you? I would strongly suggest just asking those that like you. If you ask everybody, you're going to be getting a lot of negative reviews. How do you ask? Now, this kind of goes to the texting email question. We have 3,000 law firms. We have this data. If you ask via email, you will get reviews 2 to 3% of the time. If you text, you will get reviews between 35 and 55% of the time. We had a law firm the other day that I spoke to personally who said they're getting reviews when they ask 58% of the time with texting. That's the difference. When do you ask? You have to ask after the case, during the case, doesn't matter. There's no right answer there. Just when you believe you're most likely to get the positive review. And then finally, who's in charge of asking? You could use Kenect, you could use texting. You could have the best process in the whole world, and none of it matters if somebody's not in charge. You've got to have somebody who's in charge of the process, which leads me to number 2, determine an owner for that process and compensate that owner. Now, this can be a receptionist, it could be a legal assistant, it could be a paralegal, it could be the attorney on the firm, at the firm who's dealing with the account. It doesn't matter who it is, just make sure they know they're in charge and they're the owner. And then finally, ask in the right way. Text, don't email. Most law firms email. If you do that, you're going to get reviews very, very infrequently. If you text, you will get reviews almost half the time when you ask for them. How does it work? Send a text message. It's got your firm's logo, shows up like a regular text message. You can write whatever you want here in the text. It's a template. They click on it. They click on Google. They leave the review. It's that simple. If you remember nothing else from this webinar, remember this. Take control of this process. Do not let angry clients determine your online reputation. You have to get your great clients to leave reviews. If you just sit back and wait and hope, you're going to be in trouble, because you're going to just get a bunch of negative and a few positive reviews. You've got to aggressively go get positive reviews. I know you didn't become an attorney to be a salesperson. I get it, but you have to take control of this. Build a process. We talked about that. Use text messaging, not email. All right, few things to deal with bad reviews, and then we'll be done and take all your questions. How common are they? It's about 1 in 50. 1 in 50 reviews that are left for law firms are negative. Tips for avoiding bad reviews. First and foremost, you're going to get some. People just wake up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes, and if they're not leaving you a bad review, they're leaving the Mexican restaurant down the street a bad review, or they're leaving the steakhouse down the road a bad review. You're just in their way that day. But you can reduce bad reviews. 98% of all negative reviews are because of poor communication. We believe, we're biased, but we believe the best way to avoid poor communication is with texting. So make sure you're clear about that. What not to do when you get a bad review. What not to do is the thing you probably want to do the most, which is put them in their place. They leave a bad review, you go and confront them on Google, tell them why they're wrong. Don't do that. If there's anything the last couple of years have taught us, it's that starting a giant public argument is not going to be a very effective strategy. So don't do that. What should you do if you get a bad review is reply, but reply with something like this. My name's McKay. I'm a partner at the firm. I understand that you're frustrated. I would love to handle this directly and see if we can resolve it. Just text our main firm number and I'll personally respond, and we'll see if we can get to the bottom of it. Notice that I didn't apologize. I just said, I understand why you're frustrated. And all that does is it makes you look like the not crazy one. The likelihood is they're not going to respond. They're not going to reply. You'll never hear from them again. But the biggest factor here is that you are looking professional and competent to the thousands of people who are going to see that reply or that review in your reply. The real key though is to bury bad reviews with good ones. You have to bury bad reviews with good ones. It's vitally important. All right, I want to conclude with a case study from a firm that uses Kenect, and then we'll take your questions. So this is a firm called Dozier Miller. They say texting makes it easier to contact us, easier to pay, and easier to send documents. They were looking for a way to engage with their current and prospective clients. They wanted to stop the long conversations over the phone. They needed a way to simplify their intake process. So they started to use Kenect. We made the main phone number a textable line. They encouraged all clients and prospects to text. They started to use texting to quickly start the intake process and send review requests. So less time spent on the phone, no more 20-minute phone calls. They text right to the way and get to the meat of the question. A 253% increase in online reviews. Clients prefer texting. I absolutely believe the data that says people prefer texting to phone calls and emails, and a simplified intake process. 5,200 texts received from clients. You think your clients don't want to text? I promise you they want to text. And then one more, Carrie, Leisure, and Neil. They use it for video chat. They've seen an 82% increase in Google reviews, and they've been able to keep their single business line and make that text enabled. If you're interested in learning more about Kenect, you can text us or call us at that number, 888-972-7422, or go to kenect.com. All right, let's answer some questions here. So John says, what about client confidentiality related to texting? I kind of answered this before, but let me hit on it again. If a client texts you, it's the same thing as if they were to call or email. Just follow the same process as you follow just with texting. Karina asks, I have my Google My Business page set up and I do not have to display my address. Good. So that may be a change with all the working from home that people are doing, but generally speaking, they have made you have an address. That may be changing though. Okay, now this is interesting. Someone else is saying, I did not have to display my address initially, but I did have to input an address for the verification for the Google My Business to be set up. So you actually do in some cases. Are the top 3 listings based on highest ratings? Yes, generally speaking, yes. There are exceptions. If businesses are really active on their Google My Business pages, you will see instances where businesses with slightly lower ratings, but you're never going to see a business with like 2 stars or 3.5 stars be near the top. You might occasionally see one that has 4.7 stars be above someone with 4.9 because they either have more reviews or they're more active on their Google My Business page. John says, Google is using an old photo of my office. How do I get them to display my renovated office? You need to go into your Google My Business page and upload your new photos, John. So log into your Google My Business page and upload your new photos. Do clients need to leave reviews using their Gmail addresses? Yes, they have to have a Gmail account in order to leave reviews. That's right. Amy says, the reviews of a similar named business show up for my firm. How do I get that not to happen? You've got to make sure you're sending your clients the proper links to leave reviews. It's that simple. So don't wait for them to Google the firm and leave a review themselves because they might get that wrong firm that has a similar name. Instead, send them the right link. Joshua says, do you guys integrate with Zapier? We do. All right, Megan says, we recently received a notification that a client left a Google review, but when we looked at our reviews, it's not there. Any issues why this may not have been posted yet? Yeah, this can take 3 to 4 weeks. If you still don't see it, have them leave the review again. Good questions. Okay. So Dan says, I understand emails may want to only be open 20% of the time, but I'm sure that includes spam. The clients definitely respond to my emails. Is there any data that suggests client prefer text to an email? So I want to be really clear. We're not suggesting you shouldn't ever email your clients. We're not suggesting that at all. What we are saying is there are certain types of communication that are better with text. These include basic intake questions. These include the initial consultations when you're back and forth with them at the start of the engagement. These include reminders, calendar invites, Quick reminders about what you need, timing, clarifications. Don't send emails or make calls for all those. So we're not suggesting, Dan, that you should like never email your clients. What we're saying is there are many examples when a text is better: collecting payment, scheduling consultations, sending quick reminders, answering quick questions. Those are things that can be done over text. Let's see. Can you have multiple Google My Business pages for one business? Generally, the answer is no to that. Daniel says, can you leave the physical address of the USPS where you have a PO box? So if you don't have a physical address, can you just use the USPS like address? I don't know that. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. You could probably Google it. Can you use a co-working address for Google My Business? Yes, you can. So if like you have a WeWork office or something, you can use that. Must a person have a Gmail account in order to leave a review? Yes, they must. As a small firm, Gary says, if I don't have 50 reviews, would my firm listings still show up on Google? It would show up. So if you're a real business, Google's going to show you, and you can claim your listing and do everything on your Google My Business page. All I'm saying is it may not rank very highly, which means it may not get clicked very much if you don't have 50 reviews. Does that make sense, Gary? So it would show up, but you may not rank very highly if you don't have 50. Let me rephrase. You will not rank very highly if you don't have 50. What if clients don't have a Gmail address? Are they still able to leave reviews? They are not. They need a Gmail address if they're going to leave Google reviews. Dean asks, is there a way to turn off the reviews feature? No, there isn't. You have to leave the reviews feature on in Google My Business. And again, don't be scared of this. Use it as an opportunity to go get reviews, go get good reviews. Brianne says, since the Kenect texting app is integrated with Clio, it will automatically bill text messages, or will that still be added manually? Good question. So we're integrated with Clio, but you still have to be a Kenect customer for us to turn that integration on. So you've got to be a Kenect customer in order for us to turn that integration with Clio on. James says, I'm a sole practitioner. Can I use GMB? Yes. You just need to go to Google your business's name, go claim that Google My Business page. And I will, again, go to that slide to show everybody how to do that. Lindsay says, what if a client doesn't have a Gmail account? Then they can't leave you a Google review. Now, there's ways to get around that. You could say, does your family member have a Gmail account that I can send the review request to? Can we create one for you right now to leave a Gmail account so you can leave us a review? There's a few ways to get around that, but yes, you're correct. If a client does not have a Gmail account, they cannot leave you a Google review. Can pictures and videos be uploaded to your Google My Business page? Pictures can, videos depends. But yes, pictures can. You can see on this Google My Business page that I displayed, there are pictures of the outside of a building. It looks like their office. You should put pictures of when you go out to a team lunch, all that kind of stuff. Shea says, any insight on how to capitalize on the posts feature of your Google My Business profile? Yes, post things there. Post things about your business, about things you're excited about at your company, post things your team's doing together. You can post all sorts of things. Candace says, can the link for Google My Business be included on a firm website? Yes, you can leave the link to the Google My Business page in your email footer, in your email signatures on your website. Absolutely. Lindsay says, what kind of monthly volume would justify a texting platform like Kenect? That's a good question. So about 60% of the firms that use us are solo or small business or small firms between 2 to 6 employees. And then about 40% or more. We have up to 30, 50 location firms who use Kenect as well. So really it comes down to a couple factors. Do you text your clients now? And do you use your personal cell to do that? If the answer is yes, then you probably need Kenect, because the last thing you want to do is use a personal cell to do that. And then it opens up other things you can do. Doubling your Google reviews, which is what we've talked about today, right? Collecting payments via text. as well. Getting more leads for your business by putting the text us button on your website specifically. All right, let's answer a few more here. This is great. Keep them coming. Deborah asks, how important is a GMB page for a national versus regional business? It's still important, though not as important. Like if you're a national business, GMB is less important, I would say. So Elliot says, Google has linked my actual telephone number to the numbers of our Attorney General's office and other law offices. So when they press the link to reach those other places, they end up calling me. You need to reach out to those other businesses or entities and have them correct their phone number. It's that simple. There's nothing you can do or Google can do. You just have to call that entity and say, hey, fix this. Can you put your email address on the GMB page? I don't know. I don't see it here. You're seeing one in real time. I don't believe there's a place to put an email address. Craig says, do you find that individual clients respond more than corporate or company clients? Yes. So if you're a firm that does corporate law, then you may not need texting and you probably don't need reviews as much. You still need them a little bit, but you may not need them as much. Awesome. Great questions. So good question. With the rise of COVID and remote work, is there a strategy to use GMB in a location where they don't work but live? You still got to have a physical address. So yeah, that matters. Awesome. Thanks everybody for your time. If you're interested in learning more, thank you again. We really encourage you to use Kenect. You can see that those firms who use it love it. And it's really important to their business on a daily basis. So text us at that number, call us at that number, or just go to kenect.com and we'd love to work with you. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great day and a great rest of the week.
That is all the time we have for today. I would like to thank our sponsor, Kenect, and all of you for attending our webinar today as part of the LTRC Industry Insight Series. I'd also like to thank McKay for presenting today. If you are curious about future webinars, please check out the ABA LTRC page or follow our Twitter at LTRC for updates. You can keep up with Kenect at kenect.com. We will now conclude the webinar. Bye, everyone.